Hello, my name is Terral, and today I'll be presenting my thesis, which is on NIL and how it's negatively affecting college sports and why it should be abolished. What is NIL? This is a common question being asked in today's day and age. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. It is a system that provides. NIL is a system that provides name, image, and likeness for college athletes. NIL became a component of college athletics in 2019, when the state of California passed a law for all collegiate athletes in the state to profit from NIL deals. This spurred a ripple effect across the country, where other states established their own and similar NIL system and decided to join this movement, with the second state being Florida, passing their law in July of 2020. Then, in 2021, a case titled the NCAA v. Alston began to receive national attention, making its way all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. Sean Alston was a running back for the West Virginia Mountaineers from 2009 to 2012, who was arguing that the NIL system was limiting educational benefits such as laptops or internships. This affected former athletes such as Alston because they were afraid that this would distinguish the amateur essence of college sports. The Supreme Court ruled for the NIL system, or ruled for Alston, as they claimed that the NCAA's policies of the NIL system violated the antitrust laws, as it was limiting certain education-related benefits. Then, on June 30th, 2021, the NCAA created interim policy for all student athletes to benefit from NIL deals. Then, on July 1st, 2021, the rules of the policy and the NIL laws officially went into effect. These events between 2019 and 2021 drastically changed the nature of college sports. As Yale professor William N. Goetzman says, money changes everything. Marcus Tullius Cicero was a prominent lawyer, statesman, but Cicero was also known as one of the most prolific writers in the Roman Republic. Cicero wrote speeches, letters, and other philosophical works. His structure and methods that he would use to write in his stories are particularly unique. He called it the slippery slope method, which he used by discussing that small steps can lead to a more tragic and significant end. That is what is happening in college sports today. The NCAA took steps to which they thought would benefit the athletes financially and also allow the players to experience the appreciation that sports fans have for them. However, a significant difference exists between giving athletes a scholarship versus giving them a paycheck. Scholarships emphasize the educational value of the institution, while a paycheck is strictly for labor. Originally, the Supreme Court ruled for the NIL system against the NIL system because of violations towards the antitrust laws. However, after the NCAA reformed the flaws in the NIL movement, the antitrust laws were correctly aligned, which led to the Supreme Court to reconsider their original ruling. After speculating on the financial benefits for the student athletes and their respective schools and sports, the Supreme Court ruled for the NIL system to be instated. The primary issue when it comes to the prevalence of NIL in college sports is that it has planted a seed that is growing into a negative and lazy mindset in today's college athletes. It is causing players who are being paid more than they deserve to think that their talent is far greater than it actually is. And it is causing players to gain an attitude of laziness and overconfidence. According to William Shakespeare, arguably known as one of the most influential playwrights and poets of all time, wrote in Macbeth, "Security is mortal's chiefest enemy." In Macbeth, the three witches tell Macbeth a prophecy that he would become the king of Scotland. And they warn him not to get overconfident with this news. And as the play went on, he got overconfident and he felt a sense of invincibility, and it led to his downfall. John LeBar, in his book, College sports, on the brink of disaster, rise of pay-for-play in college athletics presents both arguments and reforms regarding NIL, with this main idea of reform being that the colleges must prioritize academics over sports, instead of looking for opportunities to do commercials and promote the college's brand and the player's personal brand for money. NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders is known as one of the greatest cornerbacks in NFL history. Became head coach of Jackson State in 2020, then went to Colorado in 2022. His son, Shedeur Sanders, an NFL quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, played in college football for Jackson State and Colorado University. As a freshman in college, Sanders immediately made his mark receiving the Jerry Rice Award in 2021 when he played for the Jackson State Tigers. This award is given to the most outstanding freshman in the football championship subdivision. Then, in January of 2022, Shedeur Sanders agreed to and signed his first name, image, and likeness deal, which was with Gatorade. Sanders' fame grew even larger when he transferred over to play for the Colorado Buffaloes, receiving the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award in 2024, which is given to the best quarterback in the country. Towards the end of Sanders' collegiate career, Shedeur Sanders reportedly gained around $6.5 million off of NIL earnings alone. His senior year at Colorado was different from the others, sparking attention in the Heisman conversation to being a projected top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Everything seemed promising for Sanders on the field, but off the field, Sanders was an arrogant person who thought he was more talented than the other college quarterbacks. This proved to create an air of superiority that became detrimental to his performance at Colorado. This attitude surely came from his large earnings from his NIL deals. NFL general managers and coaches began to recognize how Sanders would behave off the field and in practice. Most importantly, it began to affect his attitude on the field as well. So Sanders dropped from being a projected top 5 overall pick to being drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round with the 144th pick. If the NCAA doesn't take action and start reforming and eventually abolishing the NIL system, then the college athletes of today will focus their energy on other desires besides academics. In John LeBar's College Sports, on the Brink of Disaster, Rise of Pay-for-Play in College Athletics, one of the central ideas of this book is how the college athletes need to shift their primary focus to the academic side of college. This is imperative because most of today's college athletes focus on how much money they can make over anything else in their college lives. The college sports transfer portal is an example of this. In 2018, the NCAA introduced the transfer portal to the college sports scene. This allows college athletes to transfer and switch to a different college of their choosing to pursue a different chapter of their athletic career and maybe even get the chance to skyrocket. Today, in the transfer portal, college athletes' primary focus is on which college will offer them the most money. They completely ignore the academic advantages that they will receive at the college that they are transferring to because their primary focus is on the NIL earnings that they will receive at that college. This is why the NCAA should work on reforming and eventually abolishing the NIL system. It is important to address a main issue that has dominated the discussion that has been caused by NIL. The amount of money that these athletes receive at such a young age is absurd. Some of these athletes start receiving NIL deals when they're still playing in high school sports. This can cause a big issue. Alan Green wrote an article titled NIL Era Creates Opportunity, talking about the challenges that NIL can bring for a college athlete. Quote, "These new demands impact mental well-being, require athletic departments to provide robust psychological services." End quote. In this quote, Green reveals that NIL is proven to distort the human mind, and especially in this case, with college athletes. These athletes are too young and do not have a fully developed conscience to comprehend the amount of money that they are receiving and to use it responsibly. This can lead to college athletes that have mental health struggles to turn to their money to use it to buy substances such as alcohol or drugs to come to their mental aid, while in reality, this can harm them in the foreseeable future. The amount of money that these athletes can receive can also trick the athlete's mind into thinking that they have a better chance of turning professional and having a successful professional career, while in reality, their talent might not be able to achieve that standard. NIL is causing athletes to shift priorities. It is causing players to focus primarily on how much money they can make while playing in college sports. Quote, "It started with personal development. It started with academic success or support to make sure guys graduated and better prepare them for when they no longer can play football again." End quote. This is the opinion of former head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide football team, Nick Saban, arguably known as one of the most prestigious and successful football coaches of all time. During a conference in March 12th of 2024, Nick Saban sat down on a conference, and in this conference, he addresses his belief on how college sports was before and after NIL was introduced. Nick Saban talks about how before NIL, the main mindset was to make sure guys were successful and had a successful academic career at the University of Alabama and lead them to success from when they can no longer play football again. Saban also points out a key point that these athletes are not just athletes. They are student athletes. During this conference, Saban points out that one of the main contributing factors behind his retirement was the name, image, and likeness system. Quote, "All the things I believed in, all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. It was about developing the players and making sure they were successful." Nick Saban also tells a story that him and his wife every year would open up their household for a breakfast for all the new incoming recruits to come and eat breakfast. Saban would talk to the players while his wife would talk to the moms, saying how they were going to develop them, nurture them, and mentor them. After this was over, Saban's wife went to him and said, "Why do we still do this?" And he replied, "What do you mean?" And she replied right back saying that all these athletes care about is how much money you're going to pay them at the end of the day, not how much you're going to develop them. This statement is a firm example of how other people have realized that athletes only focus on how much money they can make over anything else, and what they should be focusing is on their personal development and their academic success while attending the university. A biblical concept of this is the biblical concept of greed. 1 Timothy 6:10 states, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and it is through this craving that some have wandered off from the faith and pierced themselves with pangs." These athletes focus way too much on the amount of money they make, and when they have that amount of money, they're not satisfied with the amount they have, so they'll ultimately want more, and they will not be happy with the amount they have. Another concept of this is what the Bible says about worldly possessions. Colossians 3:1-2 says, "If you have been raised through Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds to the things that are above, not on earth." These athletes should not be focusing on the amount of money they make, because in reality, this will not matter in the foreseeable future, but what will truly matter is them having a successful academic career while attending their university. A great downside to this NIL system has arisen into the college sports scene. Yet, people might voice or state opinions in defense of the name, image, and likeness system. People might say that NIL is a movement that will lead college sports into the positive light. People might also say that NIL is extremely beneficial towards athletes with financial struggles. Paul Skeens, an American professional pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, is seen as one of the most dominant pitchers and players in college baseball in most recent years. Skeens started out his collegiate career at the Air Force Academy during the 2021 and 2022 season. Then, in 2023, he transferred to play for LSU. At LSU, his career immensely skyrocketed, easily becoming the best player in the country. Skeens led LSU to a 54-17 record and led the Tigers to the #1 overall team in the country. After a bumpy and wild playoff run, Skeens led the LSU Tigers to the National Championship Series, where they ended up winning the national title. Money or not, Skeens was easily seen as the #1 overall pick in the upcoming MLB draft. During an interview, Skeens was asked what he would do with his NIL earnings, and he replied saying that he gives back to the people and that he donates his money towards a foundation called the Folds of Honor Foundation. The Folds of Honor Foundation is a foundation that helps specifically for people in need that have lost their spouses and parents due to them losing their lives in the line of military or first responders. Skeens then noted that he posted a link on his Twitter that redirects you to the website to place a donation. And within a span of 24 hours, the donation jumped from $234 to $2,156. Those who are in support of NIL believe that it provides financial stability and benefits for college athletes to take care of their respective college expenses. People also say that NIL can help lift a burden of financial stress where athletes do not have to worry about student debt or accruing student loans. This is extremely beneficial because college athletes' sports is their college job. However, the issue with that objection is multifaceted. Some of these athletes are the ability to take care of their college expenses does not guarantee that they'll spend their earnings in that way. College athletes can use their money to buy expensive luxuries such as cars or clothing for pregame outfits and to get attention from other people. Athletes can also use their money to buy stuff such as drugs or steroids to enhance their athletic abilities, while this can end their career and even worse, can harm their lives. Shedeur Sanders can further support this. During his preseason game in the NFL, Shedeur Sanders was seen walking in the tunnel with his best friend, and with his best friend held 2 items, one in each hand. In one item, his friend is seen to hold a speaker that is playing Shedeur Sanders' unreleased song. And in the other hand, he's holding a wooden scythe. Shedeur Sanders is also seen wearing a chain that in diamond spells the word legendary. This chain is estimated to be purchased around $100,000. This could be seen as a scenario to be asked for unnecessary attention, and that it did seek unnecessary attention for them and the Cleveland Browns organization. While there are upsides to NIL, they are hugely overtaken by the flaws within the system. Thinking that these athletes will take their money and use it towards college expenses sometimes is not the case in the world that we live in. What started out as a scene where college athletes can give everything they have and compete night in and night out has flipped into a huge branding scheme that is causing players to lack on their talents and still be able to receive huge amounts of money as a result of NIL. NIL is negatively shaping college sports as we know it. As of now, if the NCAA reforms and eventually abolishes the NIL system, it could lead to the college sports scene to go back to that competitive nature that we all know and love before NIL was introduced. This is why abolishing the NIL system can lead to a more positive effect for the college sports scene. Thank you. I would now like to take questions from the judges.
Caleb Terral. As I'm sitting here, I'm envisioning 9th grade Caleb, who I could not get to participate in a Socratic seminar, who would tell me regularly, Ms. Cheney, I will never be able to do a senior thesis. Well, Caleb Terral, yes, you did. And you did it very well. You have not missed a beat all year, and you did such a good job, and I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Secondly, that's how Miss Barish and I are going to roll into school on Monday. Those people make more money than we do, right, Claire? Yes. So now to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you think all this NIL stuff, you said money changes everything. How has that changed team loyalty, the way fans look at college sports today? Do you see that there's been any kind of, ripple down effect negatively because of that?
So I think for college athletes, when they get like Shedeur Sanders being when he was in college, being the most paid athlete, I think for him and just other athletes, when they receive that much money, I think team loyalty kind of goes out the window and they kind of just focus on them and how many people follow them and how people know them. And so I think a lot of athletes don't really focus on that as much. I think they focus more on people knowing them and like it's all about them. It's a one-man show and just the amount of money that they receive. What's the second part of your question?
About how, it affects team loyalty and team building. And do you think this has adversely affected the way fans look at college sports?
Yeah, so I think that college fans, like personally me, I think the whole NIL system is just insane. I think fans can see, because most of the people I talk to are on the same side as I am, and they're against NIL. And so I think just everyone notices just they use their money and they spend way too much. And also it's negative for the colleges because they spend way too much money. And especially now because there's some colleges that are facing where they have to cancel there's colleges canceling women's sports programs due to this. And so I just think it's very negative of how much money that colleges are putting into NIL. So.
Thank you. You did a good job.
As classical educators, one of the things that we understand is that education is about human formation. It's not primarily about getting a job or a paycheck, but it's the forming of a soul. What does it do to a soul when a 19-year-old is making millions of dollars a year?
I think it just...
And what have we seen? What's some evidence that we've seen in the news?
We see primarily with, Shedeur Sanders, he was just being the son of an NFL Hall of Famer, and then when he started getting this amount of attention and money, it started getting to his head, and we see that in the draft where he thought he was going to be, a top 5 pick because him and his family decorated one of the rooms in the draft room for him and all of that, but he ended up not even getting drafted that night, and he ended up waiting until all the way to the 5th round, and so I think it gives players a false hope that they're better than they are. So.
I have a question for you, Caleb.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I love Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody else remembers when he coached the LSU Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time. So, Nick Saban also says not to mix mediocre people
Yes.
with high achievers.
Mm-hmm.
He says it does not create a good organization. So, when you think about how Nick Saban recruited players for his team,
Yes.
he did not want to mix a mediocre player with a high achiever.
Yes.
And I think he's the winningest football coach for,
He's
I'm
one
not
of
sure,
them.
he's one of them, yes, he's pretty high up there. How would that mindset of not mixing a mediocre player with a high achieving player, how would that correlate with his views on NIL?
I think as a coach, I think he sees that, I want to use Arch Manning, for example.
Okay.
So, he is the most paid college athlete right now, and I think it's mainly because of the name on the back of his jersey. It's not because of who he is, because he's, part of one of the best, football names of all time. So, I think what Nick Saban says about that is I think that he's truly getting the amount of money that he is getting because of his family and not because of him. While there's probably other players on the Texas football team that deserve the same amount of money as him or more that truly make the team work. And so, yeah.
Good.
Okay, I guess my question is that the money's going to be there.
Yeah.
The money's always there. It's just, and so, is there a better way? I mean, because again, the other side of the system was, if they don't give it to the player, the team's just the school's making money. Is there a better way that you read out there? Is there anything that could help the situation since this doesn't seem to be working?
I think what they should be prioritizing right now, as of terms of reforming it, is I did read something that there is like a cap on how much they can get paid, and I think that's around 20 million, which is absurd. Because
That's for the whole team, not per person, right?
I think that's for a player.
Okay.
And which is absurd because I don't agree with that in general, because I don't think they should be allowed to be even paid like the amount of room to go up to 20 million. So I would say probably a cap, but a lower cap, probably around, maybe 4 million, because it shouldn't be more than NFL players being paid. As Claire was saying, of an NFL's minimum salary of $5 million. Sir Sanders, he got a rookie contract that was less than the amount he made in college. So, yeah.
It's crazy.
Caleb, you used a phrase when you were talking about student athletes being paid. You said they get paid more than they deserve. I would imagine an argument has been made by maybe those student athletes when maybe they may say that they do deserve some of that payment because of the exorbitant amounts of money that some athletic departments of certain schools make. Many of these student athletes may not go on to professional, some do, but many won't, and so this may be their only opportunity to capitalize on any level of skill that they have. And so what would you say to that if they're saying, well, maybe I do deserve this because my athletic department is making tens of millions of dollars, why am I not available to get a cut of this?
So yeah, that's a great question and great point.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm sorry. You're welcome. And so yeah, there's probably multiple players like Arch Manning, Shedeur Sanders, just multiple people that would say that they deserve the amount of money that they receive. But I think that's more of their overconfidence talking to them, and they're like, oh, I have this amount of money, I must do something right. But then again, what I was saying about Arch Manning, they're just getting money because he's the son of an NFL legend, and Arch Manning is part of one of the best football dynasty families of all time. So,
could I if I put myself in Arch Manning's shoes, could I say, hey, I bring value to your organization. I may bring money into your athletic department, so I deserve to get some of this. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
I won't take anything away from him, from Arch Manning. He is, the quarterback. He's a valuable asset to the team. But I wouldn't say
debatable. Go ahead.
I don't think he deserves the amount he has been given. So yeah, if that answers your question.
Mr. Andrade, there is no I in team.
There is an I in Manning though.
That's one last question.
Yes, sir.
What does it say about this money wouldn't exist if it didn't come from consumers who care to buy the same shoes that he wears or whatever. Mm-hmm. What does it say about us as a society that we've created this monster with our consumption?
That's a great question. I just think.
the NIL monster. I'm not calling him a monster.
Oh yeah. Can you repeat that question one more time?
What does it say about us as a society that we're spending millions of dollars that ultimately goes to a 19-year-old?
I think a theme of my paper is I think as us as fans, I think we are putting our desires in the wrong place. I think we should be, if we're going to give money, I think we should fund it for their academic purposes instead of their athletic departments, because like I was saying earlier, college is putting way too much money into college football and basketball, where they're facing cancellation towards because I know Iowa is facing terms of cancellation of their women's gymnastics program, and so it's just they're spending way too much money on the wrong thing, and they should be focusing towards academic purposes and success for their athletes.
Okay, well, Caleb, I think you have convinced us all that Nick Saban is a classical football coach, and you just presented your senior thesis, and you've concluded our day. Good job.